I take this opportunity to invite you in our lesson spreadsheet. The subject is sub-ICT spreadsheet. Who should watch this lesson? Anybody who is intending to learn spreadsheet, much as I'm targeting A-level students doing sub-ICT. The topic here is just spreadsheet, but our lesson 1 we shall look at the introduction of spreadsheet. The person going to take you through is Mr. Kichui Shadrack Enock, author of various computer books. Now, in this lesson, we shall focus on definition of spreadsheet. You should be able by the end of the lesson to define spreadsheet and understand what exactly spreadsheet is. We shall also look at rows and columns. What are rows and columns in spreadsheet? We shall still go ahead and look at spreadsheet cells or elements. Then we shall look at cell address and active cell. You should be knowing by the end of the lesson what are cell addresses and active cell. We shall also look at a worksheet and a workbook. The difference between a worksheet and a workbook. Finally, we shall find out what is the size of any spreadsheet program. How do you find the size of your spreadsheet program? Now, with that, before we proceed learning, you should understand that the author has several books, but some of the titles we have direct points, the examiner's words. This book is for paper 1. It covers paper 1. Anyone who really wants to get well and good organized notes can look for this book, the examiner's words. The book is spread all over the country. Just look for direct points, the examiner's words. But we also have another book called Direct Points, the Bulldozer. This actually is the one which can take you through step by steps of all computer applications: Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, and the Publisher, the Bulldozer. Now, let us now look at spreadsheet. What is the spreadsheet? What's a spreadsheet? They can ask you in examination to state or define the term spreadsheet. Now, a spreadsheet is an interactive computer application program for organization and analysis of data in tabular form. That it is an application which can aid users to organize data in tabular form, and that is exactly what the spreadsheet is. So the key term here, the application is interactive, and it is an application program. It's a computer application program. This spreadsheet we are talking about, it's a computer application program. Can be used for what? To organize and analyze. To organize and analyze data in tabular form. Now, let's look at examples of spreadsheet programs. You know, we do not have only one kind of application programs or spreadsheet program on the market. There are several. One of the applications being Microsoft Excel, the other being Lotus 123. We also have VisCalc, we have SuperCalc, we have OpenOffice.org Calc. But the applications are endless. There are very many. I just mentioned a few. Some of them I may not be knowing. Some you may be knowing that I do not know. But what is important, especially in examination, they may tell you, give examples, 3 examples of spreadsheet programs, or 2 examples of spreadsheet programs. Microsoft Excel is very common. Microsoft Excel is very common. So it is going to be extremely unwise to mention or to list spreadsheet programs and you don't include Microsoft Excel, because this one is actually the one that we know and it is the very one that we use so oftenly. So do not ever leave it behind. But the other is Lotus 123. It is also widely used. So VisCalc, they are widely used. There could be others, but play your cards well to mention the most common. As we are learning, I want to remind you that this book in particular can walk you through these applications in a far more details than you may expect. So please pay attention. Look for the bulldozer. The bulldozer. Now, let's look at rows and columns. When we are talking about the spreadsheet, basically we look at rows and columns. The two can't miss in our explanation throughout the learning of spreadsheet. Now, here is a table. It's a table, an example of a spreadsheet, which you are going to learn. Now, understanding spreadsheet, when you open, I didn't begin by showing you how to open the spreadsheet because I know you by this time you should be able to start your computer and open any program you are told to look through or any application that is installed on your machine. But after opening spreadsheet, say Microsoft Excel, after saying start, then all programs, and you click Microsoft Excel or Excel, this is kind of the table you are going to get. And this table here is organized in rows and columns. The table is organized in rows and columns. Here is a very important information that you need to know, that here I'm trying to surround the first row in our table. The first row in our table. And the rows are numbered. The rows are numbered. For instance, this one is our first row. We have here the second row, also numbered. We have the third row, the fourth row, and even the fifth row. There are others, but here we have looked at what is displayed here. Now, what are these rows? These rows are labeled. The rows are labeled with numbers, and therefore we can refer them to as row numbers. Row numbers. So in case you are told to label in examination, they can bring for you a simple table like this, and they surround the numbers and they simply tell you to name them. You will simply label these numbers as row numbers. Row numbers. These are number labeling rows. It means that each row is numbered. each row in the spreadsheet is numbered. It is given a unique number. Each row is given a unique number, and on the left side of the spreadsheet you will find row numbers. So any spreadsheet, to realize its features, its appearance, you will know that it must have a row numbers. Somewhere else you can have a table without row numbers, but here we have row numbers. We have rows, but they are numbered. The actual thing, the actual point here is that we have rows, but the rows are numbered from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 continuously. They don't only end there. In similar manner, we have columns. In similar manner, we have columns. This one is our first column, and this column is lettered. While it's numbered, rows are numbered, columns are lettered. They are given letters. Now, letter headers. So we have the first column, column A, second column, third column, fourth column, sixth, but we say column A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and so on. It doesn't end there. Now, this is the understanding of spreadsheet, that it has columns, but columns are lettered. Now, if you are told to label these letters here at the top of your spreadsheet, you can simply say these are column letters. They are column letters. So it means we have row numbers, but we have column letters. While rows are numbered, columns are lettered. Now, we can look at spreadsheet cells or elements. Spreadsheet cells, or in bracket elements. It means that you can either call them cells or you can call them elements. Now look here, all what is surrounded, the small boxes you see, are referred to as cells, or in another word, elements. Cells because there are many, elements, only one can be referred to as a cell, but if there are many, we can say they are cells or elements. So a spreadsheet table has cells or elements within, and the elements are those tiny boxes within. Now we proceed by understanding that you can have just one single cell. One, when it is one, you can call it a cell. A cell, it is a cell, a cell, a cell. This one is surrounded, it is equally a cell. Now here, this cell can be pointed from a letter. This cell here is pointed from a letter D. It is pointed from a letter D, but it's also pointed from a number 3. Now, because of that, we say a cell is an intersection of a column and a row. You may be asked outside there, either any examination may be brought onto you and they ask you, what is a cell? What is a cell? So a cell simply is an intersection. Why we say it's an intersection? Because where the cell is, it is an intersection. This row is running down. I mean this column, the column is running down, and the row is running horizontally, but they do intersect somewhere, and therefore we can confidently say A cell is an intersection of a column and a row. Is an intersection of a column and a row. Why? Because where a cell is, an intersection must occur. Whether you point here, you will find here it is F4. Yeah, so D3. I think I have made that point. Now, there is what we call cell address. You have a cell as a cell, but there is what we call a cell address. A cell address, and it's something you should understand, because they may ask you what's the difference between a cell and a cell address, or they can ask you what is a cell or what is a cell address. The two are distinct, the two are different. Don't mix them up. Now, here we have our table again, where we similarly show our cell or element which intersects with a row 3. So we have D3. But what is our cell address? What is our cell address? Our cell address is D3. Our cell address, actually this name box, this place here is called name box, showing a cell address of a particular cell, meaning that in spreadsheet, every cell or every element, every cell or every element is addressed. Is addressed with what? A column letter and a row number. A column letter and a row number. For instance, they may ask you, how do you address a cell? How do you address a spreadsheet cell? A brilliant student will simply say, we address a spreadsheet cell using column letters and row number. But you begin with the column letter, ending with the row number. You can't say a row number then a column letter. No, that's not how we address a cell. So a cell address is the column and the row coordinates of a cell. A cell address is the column and row coordinates of a cell. A row, a column, you have a column and row coordinates. So the coordinate where they coordinate, where they intersect, is where we form a cell address. So literally we can say this cell here is addressed as D3, and in our name box here we have D3, showing that this is our cell but addressed as D3. Now watch out, because sometimes not in practical, these questions come in theory too, not only in practical but even in theory, where they tell you, can you tell us how this cell is addressed? Now it will be very, very sad when you say it is addressed as a 3D, starting with the 3D. That one is wrong. You will not ever get a mark for that. Instead, you should say the cell here is addressed as D3, and you rewrite it simply as you can see. So this magnified cell address shows how you write a cell address of a particular cell. Now let us look at active cell. The word active cell. Someone can ask you, what is a spreadsheet active cell? What is a spreadsheet active cell? What are you going to say? But in other words, they can use the term current cell. You must be rich in language too, because The other time they can tell you active cell, but they can also tell you current cell. Do you have the capacity of understanding and of processing the two words and understanding in spreadsheet what do they mean? Because these terms are spreadsheet language. These terms are spreadsheet language. We are not talking about the cells outside there in biology or in jail or where. No, we are talking about these cells in spreadsheet. Now, here we are looking at a spreadsheet worksheet. Now, here we have several cells. We have several cells or elements. But which exactly is active? It means that a cell can be active or inactive. A cell can be active or inactive. Now, which one is the active cell and which one is inactive? Active and inactive. Now, a cell will be active if it is selected and it can be able to accept information. Now, for instance, every time you open a spreadsheet program, you will find that the cell A1 will be active, and every time you try to type, information will go there directly where you activated the cell. So the active cell is that one which can allow you to enter information. But the ones that are not selected, it means they are inactive and you can't be able to put anything there. So here we have a active cell. Okay, from A1 we come to B2. B2. So B2 now is active. B2, and it shows there. In case you are here it shows A1. Actually, this name box shows you when you are working with the cells, shows you which one is active cell, which one is active cell. So the moment you put on your, if you find a program or spreadsheet open and you want to know which cell is active, you simply check there, you will know which one is active. But sometimes you will see it surrounded with some bolded border. It can be slightly bolded, but at times it may be hidden somewhere. So to know which cell is active, you will check in the name box, around the name box there. So here the active cell is B2 now. The active cell is B2. We can also change the active cell. Now the active cell here is E4. As you can see, E4 is now the active cell. Now, what is active cell or current cell? Say an active cell or current cell. Yes, an active cell or current cell is the cell ready to accept data input. To accept data input from the user. The one which is ready to accept data input from the user, that will be an active cell. That means if you hold your keyboard now and you start typing on this worksheet open here, this table, that information will not go anywhere else apart from E4, where it shows that your cell is active. So in theory, for instance, a worksheet can be brought to you, a table like this, and they tell you, can you identify the current cell or active cell? Directly you will show that our active cell is E4. Even if you are not seeing anything bolded here, you will know, because this name box, this area here called the name box, it only indicates which cell is active or current. Which cell is active or current. So the rest, all the rest, they will be inactive. They are not active because they can't accept you to enter any information, meaning they are not selected. Now, let us look at a worksheet and a workbook. A worksheet and a workbook. Now, this one is a worksheet. But what is a workbook? A workbook here, a workbook has several sheets. A workbook should be like a book. The way you see a book, a textbook, it has sheets. Now, this is the electronic workbook. Not the one you have, but this is electronic workbook. Now, we expect it to have many sheets, but the sheets here can be inserted. You can add sheets. You can add almost endless number of sheets according to your appetite. You can add several. But how do you add more worksheet? Here we have sheet 1. It means that we are in our workbook. Our workbook has one sheet. We have workbook with the one sheet, but we can come. If you see that symbol there, that symbol means add extra sheet. Add extra sheet. So it means if you come and click, if you come with your mouse pointer and click there, mouse pointer, if you go there and click once, you will add another sheet. So at first we had sheet 1, now we have sheet 2 after clicking the symbol. So we have a workbook with 2 worksheets. We have one workbook with 2 worksheets. But if you still have more work to put in extra sheets, you can come and say, I want more sheets. I want more worksheets. So you can simply come and say, add more sheet. When you click there, you will be having now 3 worksheets. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So you can continue according to your appetite. You can say, click, and you will have another 4th sheet. You continue clicking, you will get several sheets, endless number of sheets within one workbook. Within one workbook. So I think I have made that point. So you may be asked, what is a workbook? A workbook is a collection of worksheets stored in the same file on disk. It's a collection of worksheets. So here we have a workbook with several worksheets. We have a workbook with several worksheets, but it is one file, saved as one single file item. With that, you can also say a worksheet now. A worksheet is a tabular sheet organized in rows and columns. Rows and columns. A worksheet is a tabular sheet organized in rows and columns on your computer, on which problems are worked. On which problems are worked. Here we have a worksheet, just one worksheet, whereby all your problems can be worked up here. And here is a worksheet which can be within a workbook. So with that now, let us look at the size of your spreadsheet. Do you understand how to check the size of your of your spreadsheet worksheet? Now here I have a worksheet. This is a worksheet, worksheet 4. Okay. Now, how big it is? It has row numbers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But there are others, but they are hidden. We also have letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. But there are more, several others. But of course we have A1 active. A1 is active. So meanwhile on this sheet you can only type information on cell A1 because A1, as it is indicated here, it is active. The rest are inactive. But this spreadsheet, this worksheet can tend to be too big. You may need a lot of information to fill it up. A lot of it. But how do we get to know number of rows that are in our worksheet? How do we get to know the maximum number of rows available in our worksheet? To do that, you simply ensure that A1 is selected. Just you can ensure that your cell A1, maybe you are there selected. Now on your keyboard, you carefully hold it. This one you are going to practice at home if you have a computer at home or at school. You hold down the control button on your keyboard. The control button on your keyboard. Control, sometimes it's labeled CTRL, control. Now while you are holding, don't release. Get into the downward arrow key. The control key usually is on your lower left side of the keyboard, and the arrow keys are usually found on the lower right. So when you hold the downward arrow keys, when your control keys press down, and you just press now the downward arrow key, see what will happen. Tap. You will find that we have gone down from 1. We are now at the bottom. The number of rows, it is a huge figure in millions. How can you read the row number at the bottom there? It reads 1,048,576. 576. That is the row number, the last row number. The last row number at the extreme bottom is 1,048,576. Now, if I'm to read the active cell here, if I'm to address the address of this cell, which is found right at the bottom of your worksheet, the last row, you can say the address of this cell is A, because we are in column A. The active cell shows here we are in column A, and we can say it is column A, 1,048,576. So addressing that one, in case you have all that information, maybe you may be collecting a lot of information, then that is it. But you know, even in the size of this spreadsheet, it is also not very big. There are other spreadsheets, they can give very many numbers. Now here we are at the last row. What of the last column? Because here we are still in A, B, C, D, E, F. But we need to continue to Z, then A, then Now, what is the last column? To get the last column, also while you ensure that you are down there at the bottom, you can equally hold the control button on your keyboard, control button, then you press the rightward arrow key. When you press it once, you will find that your cursor, this cursor is one that activates, has gone to the extreme right bottom, extreme right bottom corner, at the very last cell or element of our worksheet. So it means, what is our last column? What is the column letter of our last column? Is XFD. XFD. Now, how are we going to know the number of columns here? Oh, that one can be difficult, because you can't know. These numbers are lettered. I mean, these columns are lettered. They are not numbered. So you need another method to calculate. But now, here we are. Our last, very last cell or element is having a particular address known as XFD. XFD 1,048,576. That is the cell address of the very last element in this worksheet. So with that, I can call it end of lesson 1. Join me and we proceed with learning spreadsheet. Please, this is the best way for you to catch up in case you will pay attention. After watching, subscribe such that you will be able to be notified whenever extra lessons are uploaded. You have been learning computer or sub ICT with Mr. Kichu.